everyone, today I'll be reviewing this new Netflix movie. It's called The Power of the Dog and it is starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Kristen Dunst, Jesse Plemons, and this movie dropped yesterday, and I see this movie is actually trending all over the internet because this movie is actually very beautifully made movie by Jane Campion. And when I saw this movie I was like, ooh, this movie is such a it is very slow paced, but still this movie has such interesting character, very engaging, and all the performance in this movie is absolutely amazing. And all these actors on screen, they have such a good chemistry with each other. I had a really good time watching this movie. Like, although it is very slow paced, like extremely slow paced, because this movie is actually character driven movie. It's not a plot heavy movie, so there's nothing much going on. That being said, I really loved all the location for this movie because this movie took place in 1925. So when I was watching this movie, I was wondering in my head, where did they shot this movie? So this movie is actually shot in New Zealand. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, that is very interesting. So I really enjoyed this movie a lot. So I will be now going into the plot, which will contain spoilers. If you have not seen the movie, check it out. Then come back and check out my explaining about the whole movie and ending. So this movie centered around four characters: Phil, George. They're the most richest of rancher in Montana in 1925. And when George met this widow Rose, who also has a son named Peter, and George meets her and he decides to marry her. Obviously, when he marries Rose, Phil doesn't like it because at the beginning of this movie, you can see Phil has very close bonding with his brother, and he looks like he's very irritated person. Something is wrong, not wrong, but something is bothering him inside. He cannot quite say it. So when this movie starts with this, like Rose comes to their home because now she is his wife, and she comes with also her son Peter, who like Phil also doesn't like. But to me, I feel like somehow Phil actually sees himself in Peter, although Peter was acting a little bit like shaky beginning up to this movie. But Peter is actually very smart character. He's going to be a doctor. Obviously, you can see he was doing many research on his animals because he's planning to become a surgeon, and obviously he's a good son to his mother. Like at this middle of this movie, we learn that Phil is actually a closet gay person in this movie, but he has all this men's magazine. He hides in the jungle, but he cannot tell anybody because he's actually this masculine guy on the ranch, but actually he's a closet gay person, I guess. So when Peter learned about him, and he tried to be friend with him because he comes home for the summer, I guess, from his college, and then they get closer. And then in one night, so in one time, he has all this cow hypes or something, like he makes this thing with him, with those hype thing. And one day Rose, she gives away all these hypes to the local native people there. And when she gives all these hypes away, because he doesn't want to sell it, he doesn't want to do anything with it, he just wants to burn them. So when Rose learn about it, she decides to give it away to all these native people. So when he's going to make this belt or what was he making for him with this hype, and then Peter gives him this hype from a cow. It's as a dead cow he found once in the mountain, and then those dead cow, because those cow died from this disease called anthrax. And this anthrax disease is actually very contagious disease. Like if any cow gets it, it contagious to human. Like it's easily transmitted disease to human. So that's why the George was telling the doctor, normally Phil, he never handled any sick cow, I guess, in this movie. So when he died from anthrax, that is how this movie, one scene you see Phil was sitting with Peter, he was spending or making this thing. And the next day, you see he's actually died, out of nowhere. So this movie, throughout the movie, is very slow paced. But I thought last 20 minutes, this movie moved really fast. Because that's how this movie was designed, to leave you with these feelings like, what did you just watch? So when Phil, he dies next day, Then we learn that because the hives Peter gave him, those hives actually from those diseased cow, and those cow has anthrax, and because he made those hive, he touched it with bare hand all night. He was making this braid thing. I forgot what was he making. I really apologize. And then, of course, he contracted with the disease anthrax, and then the next day he died. And when he's dead, everybody looks really happy in his family because Phil was such a complicated character, he didn't get along with anybody. And in the last scene of this movie, we see that Rose and George, they're really happy with each other. They're like so happy, they're hugging each other. And Peter sees that in the window and he smiles to himself. So that smile, you can interpret it that did he just kill the Phil, or he just like accidentally he got killed? What happened here? This movie leaves you with this idea. So to me, feel like I think like when he got close to the Phil, I don't know if he's intentionally got close to him, but at first, but I think when he saw this opportunity, I think he maybe thought about his mom Rose, who was like getting drunk day by day because of Phil. She was getting sick, and maybe Peter thought if he get rid of Phil, her mom will be like, his mom will be happy. Maybe that was he thought, and he killed him. That is what I think. Or could be it is accident. So I don't think it's accident, since now I'm thinking, telling you guys, and I'm thinking it can't be accident since he gave him that. So I think it was intentional. I think at that moment, Peter, he decided to give those those disease hype to him and to get him killed. I guess that was his plan at that moment, I think. And that is, I think the name of the movie is The Power of the Dog. That is what I think. Like, he decided at that moment to kill Phil because of his mom, because he really loved his mom. Anyway, that is what I thought about this movie, like the ending and the overall movie. Let me know in the comment, what do you think about this movie? And do you think like Peter was planning this all along? Maybe he could have. Overall, it's such a beautiful made movie and left with you like your own interpretation. That is what I think. Anyway, that's my thought. Let me know in the comment what do you think about it. And if you enjoyed my review, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave your comment, and please take care.